As we continue our journey through the world of data, we're ready to embark on the 5-number summary. The 5-number summary is exactly that. It's a summary, a snapshot, using 5 different values that describe this set of data that you have. Let's talk about some formal definitions. As requested, please make sure you place this in your notes. All right, we're often interested in how much spread there is in a data set. The spread, or variability, right, these two words are synonymous, of data, right, describes how far apart the data values are. A set of statistics that helps us see the amount of spread in the data set is the 5-number summary, exactly what this whole video is all about. The 5-number summary consists of, okay, and this is what we want to make sure that we have down in our notes. The 5-number summary is the minimum value in the data set, quartile 1, also known as Q1, the median, quartile 3, also known as Q3, and the maximum value. Now, the minimum value and the maximum value are numbers that we'll see readily in the number set. The rest of these, the median, Q3, and Q1, we will have to calculate on our own. And another way to look at the median is sort of to call it Q2, so that we look at this in terms of 1, 2, and 3 right in a row. My first caveat to this, or warning, is that this picture is not to scale. Again, picture not to scale. So a visual representation of what's going on in the 5-number summary, you have your minimum is down here, your median is the number that's in the middle when we order the data from least to greatest, and the maximum is the largest. So then Q1 and Q3 are very interesting. They're sort of like the medians of their upper and lower halves, meaning Q1 is kind of the median or halfway spot between the median and the minimum, and Q3 is sort of the median or the halfway point between the median and the maximum. Again, get this part into your notes. You want to have this in your notes and this sample set in your notes. To create the 5-number summary of the data set, first you have to order the data set. Right? We're going to order the data set into increasing or decreasing order. It really doesn't matter. I prefer, increasing order, so smallest number on the left. All right? And then we're going to work on finding the median, or the middle of your data set. All right? Remember that the median divides the data set into 2 halves. All right, so let's start there. In this data set, what I have are arm spans, right? Remember, this is all about quantitative data. Arm spans in centimeters, right? Either units, if it's quantitative, of 15 algebra students. So here's student 1, 2, 3, onward and upward to 14 and 15. And what we've done is we've ordered the numbers in the increasing fashion. So when we have an odd amount of data points, finding the middle is easy. It is the dead center number. As you've seen, I've crossed off the 7 numbers over here on the right side, and also cross off corresponding 7 numbers on the left, leaving me with 1 in the middle, and that middle value is going to be our median. Now that we've calculated our median, and it was a calculation, we had to figure it out, we can identify the minimum and the maximum very easily by just going to the smallest and largest value in the data set. So here's 3 of our 5 values. We're almost there. All we need now is Q1 and Q3. The next portion of this is going to be critical. So first, jot this in your notes that Q1 is the median of the lower half and Q3 is the median of the upper half. So we have our median, and so we're not going to use the median. We're going to look at the numbers to the left and do the same thing that we did to find the median. Just sort of cross off 1 number on each side, and when we find the center one, we're going to define that as Q1. Same thing for the upper half. Left and right, 1 value at a time. Left and right, 1 value at a time. Left and right, 1 value at a time. 170 is our Q3. So let's recap the values. For our minimum arm span, we had 148 centimeters. Our quartile 1 is 152 centimeters. Our median is 162 centimeters. Our quartile 3 is 170 centimeters. And our maximum arm span for these 15 students was 181 centimeters. Again, keep in mind that centimeters are the units on all 5 of these values. All of these values are describing students' arm span in centimeters. So let's try it again. Now let's take a look at a data set that's not in order. So this data set is all about max wind speed of named hurricanes in 2005. So first, take a moment and write all of the values in your notes in order. Press pause now and write the values in order from least to greatest, or in ascending order. Okay, now compare your list to my list. Do we have the same numbers? Hopefully, or one of us has an error. I checked mine pretty thoroughly. In fact, I just double-checked really quickly and crossed off all of the values up here as I went along. Again, great emphasis on using pencil because we are going to need to erase from time to time. Now, let's go ahead and calculate our 5-number summary. I'm going to start with some of the easier values. 75, that's our minimum, so that's pretty easy to drop in. And then 185, that's our maximum. Pretty simple to drop in. All right, now let's start crossing off on each end. Take a moment, press pause, calculate the median on your own. Did you get 105 for your median? Hopefully, if you did, that's great. If you didn't, let's work on a better system. Or perhaps ask in class if you're confused. Now for quartile 1, remember quartile 1 is going to be the median of the lower half down here. So as we cross off values, right, 2 on each side, 3 on each side, we're left with 80. So that's going to be our quartile 1. You wrap it up for quartile 3. Try it on your own now and press pause. Okay. Did you get the same values as I did? 160 for quartile 3, 80 for quartile 1, so on and so forth. And these are wind speeds, so I'm guessing that these are in miles per hour. And rather than guess, we can look up here, and that is true. So I always just like to put the units over on the right to keep this in context. Maximum wind speeds for named hurricanes of 2005, right? Hurricanes have some pretty brutal winds. The smallest of them, or the least of them, was 75 miles per hour. The greatest was 185 miles per hour. And now, let's just slip this in. 105 miles an hour was the median. Let's just say that that's a good way of saying that that's what a typical hurricane is. It's not the craziest hurricane, it's not the weakest hurricane, but it's a typical hurricane, about 105 miles an hour. And the last thing we want to draw our attention to is this concept of Q1, or I should say the distance, not a concept, the distance between Q1 to Q3. So from 80 all the way to 160, this is going to be a particular point of focus in future videos. So just sort of highlighting what is to come. It's important to take note of the following piece of information. Press pause and get this entire piece into your notes. Okay, so what we're talking about is what happens when n, right, n, the size of your data set, is even. For example, this data set right here has 8 values, or n equal to 8. This is our first value, second value, onward and upward to our 8th value. If we start to cross off numbers one at a time, when we get to the middle, we've crossed off everybody. There is no median. Well, actually, let's try that again. If we cross them off one at a time and we get to the point where we realize we have 2 values in the middle, the median will be the arithmetic average of those 2 numbers. So let's find the mean of these 2. 28 divided by 2 is equal to 14. Of course, 14 is the value halfway between 13 and 15. So the median isn't always a value that's in the number set. The minimum is always in the number set. The maximum is always in the number set. But the other 3, Q1, Q3, in the median may not actually be values in the number set, like this example. So let's see what we got here. Our minimum is 2. Put that in. Our maximum is 30. We've calculated the median to be 14. Now, how do you end up calculating the lower half? Well, since we didn't use 13 as our median, we're going to continue as such. I'm going to cross these guys off. And now we're going to find the halfway point between 6 and 9. So just coming up here, 6 plus 9 divided by 2 is 15 divided by 2, which is 7.5. So our Q1 is going to be 7.5. And likewise, for the Q3, it's going to be the arithmetic average of 18 and 21, which is 19.5. Whoops, I meant that to be whiting, but that's all right. You get the point. So this is a nice drawn-out example of what we're saying right here. Your final mission for homework is to calculate the 5-number summary, right? The 5-number summary of the following data set up here. So this whole show right here. Put them in order, calculate it all out, bring your 5-number summary in, and that'll conclude this session. See you next time.